Right next to the news, we have our own soup. WIDR Kalamazoo. Right next to the news, we have our own soup. WIDR Kalamazoo. Right next to the news, we have our own soup. WIDR Kalamazoo.
Hi there, welcome to another edition of the Western News Review. This happens to be our last episode for the rest of the semester. We come back again, of course, in the fall of 2023. But it's exciting to have my usual co-host here with me, Cori Osterman, and then Nicole Morehouse. And we have a guest in the person of Ben Epstein, and he is the editor-in-chief at the Western Herald. So he's a big man. We'll tell you more about him. I don't be too, humble and all that, but we'll find out more about him. But how's your week, guys? How's your week?
It's pretty good. We have 1 week left of the semester. Got a couple exams coming up, but I feel good about it.
Awesome. And I have just one paper left to turn in, so I also feel good, I guess. How about you,
Very
Nicole?
lucky.
Yeah, I actually have 5 exams this semester, which is kind of unheard of for journalism.
5?
But I'm
Have
ready
you
for
started
them.
already, or that's next week?
Nope.
Next week?
Everybody
week.
pray for Nicole.
Oh my god.
I pity you. And Ben, how's your week been?
Oh, it's been a bit stressful. I feel like professors always want to dump the biggest amount of coursework in the last 2 weeks of school. So it's just been batting down and getting through it. I think I'm with Cori on this one. It's just it's kind of a push to the end.
I can understand that, but hopefully after 2 weeks you don't get to deal with all of that. So that's good. Okay, so today we're looking at some interesting discussions. First, we'll bother on WSA and their election of a new Legislative Assembly Speaker, and we also discuss WMU and their position on ChatGPT. Not necessarily the official position of the school, but what some members within the community are saying regarding that. And of course, we look at Lavender graduation ceremony, what that is all about. Honestly, I'm just hearing about that, so we'll tell you more about that. Nicole, I'm sure, has some more information about that. And of course, like I said, we have a guest in here, and you've heard his voice, in the person of Ben Epstein. He's the editor-in-chief, I beg your pardon, editor-in-chief at the Western Herald, and we'll have a brief chit-chat with him. Not so brief, but we'll try to get into his personality, who he is, and what's not. So that's it for today. Let's start off by discussing, and I forgot to mention, WNR, I'm talking about the Western News Review, won an award at the WIDR Staff Awards. So yay!
Congratulations.
We got a paper plate award.
Yeah.
Forget, what was it called?
It's called the carrying the buckle, I think. Yeah, something like that.
Oh, the bugle. Yes.
Yeah,
Carrying the
let me look
bugle.
at that. Okay, yeah, so we won that. Congratulations to us, Alice.
Greatest achievement of the
Congratulations,
year.
guys.
Was
I've been
it-
listening to the podcast. It's great.
Oh,
since
thank
you guys
you.
started it. One of the goals I had when I came back here was to get this podcast going again. So I'm glad you guys are doing a great job.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We're honored to have you say that. So there's that as well. All right, let's start off with the WSA and the election, and I'll quickly introduce that story and then we'll get into it. But the story was written by Ian Russell, staff reporter at the Western Herald, and it's captioned WSA elects next Speaker of the Legislative Assembly. And it comes with a picture of the elected Speaker, Sam Langlet. And it says that for the 2023-2024 academic year, Speaker of the Legislative Assembly has been elected as Sam Langlet, and this occurred on April 12th. All right, he happens to be the current speaker. So essentially, he's handing over to himself, right? And so that's it. He was running against Griffin Baginski, and they both offered unique vision for the future of the assembly. But it looks like the assembly was swayed towards the side of Sam Langlet, and so he won. Now, I want Ben to tell me more about this gentleman, because I understand you happen to know him on a personal level. What kind of person is he?
Yeah, as the editor-in-chief of the Herald, I interact with WSA a lot, and I've become pretty close with their board from last year, and he was obviously on their board from last year. Clearly was a speaker from last year. And just Sam on a personal level, he's a very genuine guy, very detail-oriented, very smart guy, and knows how to present himself well in public. So I think that definitely plays in his favor, especially when he was running against Griffin, who I believe doesn't have any experience of that kind. So I think Sam's like the obvious choice for this position after I know he ran on the other slate to the other presidential slate. And I think he still belongs on WSA. I think his influence there is paramount for their success. So I think it's a good election for them.
So it's a case of experience as against inexperience, right? So Sam is someone who's been in the position for some time, and then the other candidate, at least Sam comes with the advantage of having served that position, and so with that, he has that added advantage for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I also think it's hard to stop being in a position like that after only 1 year, and that if you have the opportunity to have someone do it for 2 years or more than one semester, I think
1 year is too short.
Not too short. I mean, it probably takes the toll on the person who's doing it, but it's kind of interesting to be able to see what more he can bring to the table.
Okay. Yeah, I can understand that, especially if you have so many unfulfilled, ambitions. While maybe he had plans for the assembly, which he couldn't complete in his 1 year term.
Yeah,
so
maybe just not enough time.
Just not enough time, I guess. Awesome. And the story also lists some approvals that, in terms of funding, approvals that were given to a couple of RSOs. Cori, you want to run me through the number of RSOs that got some amount of funding, if you have that?
Do you have it in front of you?
Yeah, I could get you that. All right, so I understand the Indian Students Association received 1,000 in brown and gold funding to help in purchasing stalls for graduating students, and then also the Society of Automotive Engineers received 830, and some other sororities as well received some cash. A number of them. Looks like there's a lot that went in there. There's also an aspect about how much was spent on the election, which I'll get to you shortly. Okay, yeah, there it goes. It says that WSA spent $923.63 on the spring 2023 elections, and this means that for each of the 808 votes that were cast, they spent roughly $1.15. Not too bad, is it?
I'd almost be okay if they started spending a bit more. The student engagement isn't great on that. So if they started to spend a bit more money, I wouldn't be mad about it.
Yeah.
Their whole goal is getting their message out there. And I think if we saw, a couple more outreach.
I mean, 808 is not really, it's not impressive, I guess. We have thousands of students on campus. So, like you said,
I know they were aiming for like 10% participation in this election. I think, what was it, like 3 point something?
They got 5, I think.
It was low.
Last year was 3 point something. This year they got 5.
Yeah,
and it's an improvement, that's good to see. But I think if they just, funds can never help in terms of marketing in that way. So, because I think they're doing all of the social media marketing, right? I just think like sometimes you just need to like pay that extra couple $dollars to make some flyers or hold an event.
I agree with you on that. And there are other venues to even explore. You can have these pop-up ads and all of that. So certainly they can do more, and we hope that the next administration does same. The president has said that one of their vision is to engage students, and so we hope for that to come to pass. Okay, so enough about the WSA. Let's do some other interesting discussions. And
real quick, I would like to thank our staff writer Ian Russell for covering almost every WSA meeting this year. He knocked it out of the park, just going to all the meetings without complaint, and that's something that is hard for us on the editorial board to do. So we appreciate when a staff writer takes on a role like that.
Yeah, he's doing great, and every WSA story I see has his name attached to it.
Yes, it does.
So kudos to you, Ian Russell, for keeping the community up to date on what's happening with the student body. It's really appreciated. All right, ChatGPT and cheating. WMU students and the community is weighing in on that discussion. Cori will tell us about that as she looks for the story. But essentially, ChatGPT is a thing now, right? And wherever you go, you hear that. Yesterday, I was discussing this with my students. Coincidentally, we were discussing human-machine communication, and we're looking at how chatbots, influence academic work and whether or not it's ethical to use it. And so I was happy to see that you had a story about that on the website. Do you have it now? Can you quickly give it to us? All right.
I am prepared this time. This story comes to us from Michael Simons, our lead CNC reporter. He spent a long time on this one, about a month actually, just trying to find people who were willing to talk about it, professors who had opinions on it. And I think it turned out really well. He took the angle that with exams coming up, we're kind of thinking about how universities should handle the use of ChatGPT, which stands for Chat Generative Pre-trained Transformer Chatbot.
Okay, I didn't know that.
I had no idea that's what it stood for.
I had to ask. He wrote it in the article as ChatGPT, and I said, "Does it stand for something?" He said, "I'll look it up." But it's AI that's capable of generating everything from human-like responses to lines of code from a single prompt. So, of course, that opens the possibility of cheating. You can put basically any kind of prompt you want in there, and it'll write something for you.
But is that dangerous? What dangers really are associated with this in terms of academic work? Do you think it really forces cheating?
I don't know if it enforces it. It might make things a little easier to do, but I've heard people say that it's a good starter for if you don't know where to go when you're starting an assignment. You can put something into ChatGPT and kind of get the ball rolling, but of course you have to edit yourself and make sure that none of it is plagiarized.
That's interesting. Talk to me. I'll come to Ben, but let me come to Nicole first, since you've been silent for some time now. Are there any positives? So Cori mentions the aspect of, for instance, getting ideas for a project. But aside that, do you think there are any positives overall with respect to using chatbots? Because people believe that technology is supposed to help people work smart, right? And, fast. And so if we have technology that allows us to do that, why don't we go ahead with that? What do you weigh in on this, the negatives and positives?
Yeah, I think the main positive about it is like Cori was saying, people suggest to me like when I'm stuck on something and they're like, ChatGPT will help you just get an idea so you can keep going from there. So I think that's really the main kind of positive to it. But I think as the article talks about, it definitely does encourage cheating. But so it kind of depends on how the person uses it, because you can use it in a way that's not cheating, but you can kind of take it a route that like it says it violates the academic honesty policy at Western.
And Ben, is there a way to ethically use this?
To ethically use ChatGPT? Yeah, I absolutely think so. Cori and Nicole have kind of hinted at it. It can be a powerful tool to get you started in terms of, especially when it comes to writing. It can be a powerful tool to get a base of what you want to go, where you want to go with something like that. Also, I think it's a good tool it's a good tool for generating writing. And then when it comes to, just certain simple problems that you maybe don't want to use a calculator for or something like that. It's just simple stuff that it gets through. I think ultimately my opinion on ChatGPT is that it's the reform that it's going to bring to the education system is something that's been desperately needed. I think the modern way of school isn't a bad way of doing it, but do I think there could be improvements? Yes. So I think that it will bring some level of reform to college level academics in general and academics below that as well.
Yeah, and I, for one, have used ChatGPT, not for academic work, by the way. If you're doing a listen, my professor, I haven't. But
none of us have.
Usually for, so I use this, for instance, for a podcast I was working on for ideas. For instance, what episodes can I have on a podcast about this?
Interesting.
And then I got suggestions for instance, maybe your first episode can talk about this. The other one, the next can talk about it, and then the last can talk about this, for instance. So I guess it's good when you're using it for, let's say, ideas and not necessarily the content, right? So you're not pulling up the text for the work you're working on. Let's say you are writing a paper on something. Perhaps ChatGPT can suggest angles to look at, all right? So maybe begin by talking about the history of this and then move to the importance. What are the dangers? Rather than some people rely solely on it, right, to generate the full text and then present it as work. And I guess that's where usually the difficulty in terms of
that's where the
polishness.
ethical nature of it gets a little tricky. Mike actually asked ChatGPT what its opinion on students using it to cheat was, and it did have a response. It said, "My purpose is to assist and provide information to individuals in an honest and ethical manner. It is important to always uphold integrity and academic honesty and to use resources like myself in a responsible and ethical way." So it's
smart.
ChatGPT does not condone cheating.
That's interesting. But we also understand some institutions are blocking it, and so they're either banning it or blocking students from being able to use it. But do you think this will be effective? Do students still get to find their way around that?
I think people are going to find their way around the rules in any way if they want to badly enough. I think that if we block it on school Wi-Fi or however they do that, people will do it at home anyway. So I'm not really sure how effective that will be.
And I've heard people say that there are, when some plagiarism checkers are able to notice if it's ChatGPT generated, but there are alternative applications that allows you to paraphrase in a way that is undetectable, right? So
yes,
I don't know. I guess, like you're saying, we need to find a way to inculcate this into the academic system, as Ben said. Let's find a way to make it a part of academics, but in a way that is ethical, right? So Professor Chad Edwards, for instance, has mentioned this, and I think it's in the article where he mentions that, this thing has come to stay, so it's better we educate people on it, on how to effectively use it, than ultimately ban it. The School of Com has a program on human-computer interactions, HCI. It's a minor.
Yeah, it's a new minor.
It's a new minor. I guess these are some of the areas that it's going to tackle. Yeah, so ChatGPT. Interesting.
Something to think about.
Something to really think about, honestly. And I think I'm glad that it's coming up when exams are coming, because some people may want to use it to turn in papers, and please be ethical with that, all right?
And plenty of professors say that they can tell. I'm not sure what truth there is behind that. I'm sure it depends on the professor, but I
guess it's
if
the
you're
language.
Grading that many essays a semester and you know what students' writing sounds like, you might be able to tell a little bit.
I don't know what the validity of that is.
Yeah, I don't know if they can definitively say you use ChatGPT.
It's pretty human-like.
Yeah, it is.
But I guess it might be because of how ChatGPT writes. People say that it starts in a certain way and ends in a certain way. So the beginning is almost identical to the end, the conclusion. So that's how you know it's computer generated.
All right, so change one of those.
So,
sorry, that was not advice.
That was not an endorsement.
Scratch that, All right, but these are realities. Students know these. Some are going to paraphrase and all of that. So it's not like you are encouraging them necessarily. It means that we're also giving professors listen to this. We're also telling them that they should look out for people who might paraphrase as well. So that happens. Just make sure that you're citing sources and all that. Okay.
Next story.
Yeah. This is definitely another interesting one. It talks about lavender graduation. And Nicole, you want to give us that one? I really didn't know what that was. I thought it was the actual spring graduation, and then I read the story and I realized it's different. Tell us more.
It's a celebration for LGBTQ plus students that are graduating to celebrate together just their graduation in their own ceremony prior to the original commencement ceremony. So it is separate from the commencement ceremony.
From the other one?
Yeah, but it's not a separate commencement ceremany. It's an additional ceremony. Yes.
Yeah.
They do go to both.
Oh, okay. Is it huge? Is it an event? Where they're wearing the gowns and all that?
I'm not exactly sure.
I've never been.
Yeah.
Let's try and go this time.
I would assume so, right?
Yeah.
I feel like they got to be in it's a graduation. I would assume that they're
in the gowns and
in the
that.
regalia.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
Interested. Let's try and attend this one and see how it feels like.
So it's invitation only.
Oh, so not everyone is eligible to attend?
No, you have to be part of the LGBTQ plus community. It's invitation only because some students aren't out yet, so they want to protect those students.
Okay.
So yeah, it's not open to everyone to attend.
That's understandable.
Yeah, I think it's an opportunity to use preferred names and pronouns when the students graduate, as opposed to their real graduation ceremony with their friends and family, where they might not be out using those names and pronouns.
Okay. That's smart. I haven't really thought about it that way, you know, trying to create safe spaces for these people to celebrate with their community, as against, you know, people who may not necessarily accept them. That's a good one. Okay, so I was going to ask how different this is from regular graduation, but I think you touched already on that.
Yeah, it's just an additional ceremony, and they receive a tassel. It's a rainbow tassel that they can wear at the commencement ceremony. So that's also a way that they can be recognized at commencement. I don't think I have the date of when the Lavender graduation is, but then like next week at commencement ceremony, they're able to wear that and kind of show that. Yeah,
next week is commencement. Ben, I understand you're graduating, are you?
I am next week.
How's it feeling?
It's like that weight off. I don't think it's like fully hit me yet. It's that weight off your shoulders though. Like I can feel it feels like impending doom, but it's like a good thing. like because I mean it's like oh, I have to figure out my life now, but it's also like no more assignments and going to classes that you don't really want to go to every day. So
to that extent, I'm happy for you and I envy you. No more assignments and all that. But I understand the fear of trying to, you know, figure out your life, the adulting stage at this point. It's
a bit scary. I don't think it's addressed enough, like in society, like this, especially in our generation nowadays, like with how the job market is. Like I think it's very scary going into the workforce right now. But I've been gifted with, you know, I've some opportunities and hard work. So I'm glad that this journey is ending and I'm moving on to the next one.
Good. And that brings us to our conversation with Ben and Ben Epstein, and essentially trying to understand how the journey has been for him. He's the editor-in-chief at the Western Herald, and that's a huge, you know, position, and you know, comes with huge responsibilities. And we're trying to learn more about that. But we understand, before we get into Ben's story, Cori is taking over from you. Cori, congratulations.
Congratulations, Cori.
Thank you.
I saw the story on, so I saw a Twitter post, which I commented on, I think, and then I later saw a picture of you on the Western Herald website with, you know, a dog. That's cute.
That is me and my dog, Link. Nicole was very kind to write a story about me. I will be taking over as editor-in-chief of the Herald starting May 1st.
Oh, that's like next 2 weeks?
Yep. Next week. Yeah. Well, it would be the start of next week, right? Same thing.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, whenever the
like
next
2 weeks.
I guess I'll alternate the conversation between Ben's and yours in terms of, you know, how it feels like carrying over the mantle and all of that. So stay with me and gather your thoughts on some of these things. But Ben, how did it all start for you? What led to your interest in journalism?
So just as when I was young, you know, when I was 6 or 7 years old, I was always that kid. Like instead of like going out to recess, I would like stay in the corner, like on the brick wall, reading a book.
So you're a nerd?
Yeah, I was a nerd. That's incorrect. So
called out.
So that's where it kind of started for me, and then I think one of my third grade teacher like really encouraged me to write, and that was like something that I hadn't really thought about. And then I just started. They had these like little laptop devices that they were trying to like make popular at the time. I forgot what they were called, but they were just like these little keyboards with like a screen that was like maybe like 3 by 4 inches or something. And I would just sit there and type away. And then one time she recommended that I enter a national writing contest, and I ended up winning.
Whoa. Congrats.
And that was super cool. Yeah, I think that's what like really instilled the love of it for me. And then since then, I just kind of known that I was going to do something, whether it involved English or creative writing or journalism. And I kind of settled on journalism because I felt that I could have an impact on people's lives and help inform them.
So you're a journalism major?
Yeah, I'm a digital media and journalism major with a minor in psychology and political science.
That's perfect. And how has the journey been for you so far, ever since you entered the space?
Yeah, so I entered like my sophomore year of college. I wasn't a part of the Herald yet. I really wasn't doing much. I wasn't doing well in school. I was pretty depressed, and I was looking for something to do and something to kind of get me out of that hole. I felt like I was kind of in the middle of nowhere. And I thought, if I really want to make this journalism thing real, I'm going to have to start, doing it practically. So I literally went on Google and looked up Western Michigan newspaper, applied to the Google form that's on the Herald website. It's updated now, but I replied, I filled out the form and hadn't gotten an answer 2 weeks later. Later found out that form hadn't been used in 4 years. So I reached out, I DM'd the account personally. I think Sam Robinson was the editor-in-chief at the time, and he replied to me and directed me to our sports editor. And that's kind of where it started. I wrote my first sports story. It got some good traction. Oh,
so you say your niche in journalism was sports journalism?
Yes. So I started out as a staff reporter, mostly focused on sports. And then I kind of diversified and then I was later elected lead sports reporter the following year. And then I kind of divulged into community and culture and news writing, just so I could balance my portfolio a bit, and I wanted to see what that kind of writing was like, and I really enjoyed all three aspects: sports, news, and community and culture. So throughout the course of that year, I wrote articles for all three sections, and then that year came to an end, and my dear friend Aya was running again for editor-in-chief, but I really wanted to take that next step in my career, and we ran against each other, and I won, and it's been history since then.
I hope there's no bad blood then.
No, we're good now. We're very good. We had a very good moment when I got elected, and we're all cool.
So what is inspiring about Sam's story for me at this point is the fact that he didn't give up when he reached out via the form. He so persisted, send emails and all of that. That meant that he was determined to do it.
And now he's made it much easier for other people to reach out to us. That was his biggest. We need to make it easier for people to find us.
He solved the problem, you see?
He did.
I shouldn't have filled out a Google form that hadn't been touched in 4 years.
I mean, he had no way of knowing.
I can't believe I can't imagine how many people did that and probably never got connected with the
chase
paper.
Their dreams. If they weren't, for instance, as determined as you are to want to reach out through other channels and avenues. So that's pretty good. And I like the fact that you also wanted to try other aspects of journalism, not just sports, not limit yourself to sports. Last week we were discussing internships and how important it is for practice. And so I also like that you mentioned that you needed practice, not just study journalism. Now, these I know as a student you have other commitments, even academics and all these engagements. How do you juggle being editor-in-chief of a whole news outlet? Should I say whole media group, right? Whether or not a student, it's a media group, and you're in charge of a number of people. How do you juggle these two?
Yeah, I think that just comes down to the quality of staff and my friends that I've hired, that I've surrounded myself with, and Cori and Nicole have been a huge building block of me being able to have success. I don't really have to worry about whatever they do. I mean, I obviously keep an eye on what they're doing and check in with them all the time. But I'm usually not scouring their articles looking for mistakes, because I know I don't need to. I think I've had an incredible staff. My photo staff has also been great. Shout out to Madison McKenzie and Allie Mitter for really growing that section. They've done an incredible job. But I think in any job, when you're a leader, if you don't surround yourself with the correct people, you're going to end up drowning under the weight of all the responsibilities that you have, especially of a job of this magnitude. So I really just have to credit that to my staff. I know that's a very bland and typical answer, but I think it's really true. I especially having this job, it made me understand when the basketball player goes up and he scored 40 points, but then he looks at his team and it was I couldn't have done it without them, because it's he really couldn't have. He wouldn't have been put in that position without that.
That's nice to hear.
Yeah, I think that's testament to how Ben thinks too. He's very much a people person, and he picked an editorial board this year that all works really well together. Our meetings run very smoothly, and I think he picked a dynamic with us, and he saw something in everyone that has worked out really well.
Thank you.
That's great to hear. And So we know that your staff has been supporting you in this journey, but beyond that, have you felt supported outside of the work environment? People supporting the fact that maybe family and friends supporting the fact that you're taking on this journalism route. And journalism can be a hated profession for some people. Some people do not like journalists at all. And do you feel like your community in terms of family, friends, have been supportive throughout this journey?
Yeah, I mean, if we're being bluntly honest about it, no, they were not at the beginning. There's a lot of preconceptions and stereotypes about the journalism field today. I hope by the time I'm done talking about this specific topic, I can break a couple of those. But
good.
Yeah, they were not supportive at all. I mean, my dad was. He's always been super supportive of me, just in general. My mom's side of the family wasn't as much, just because I wasn't a very good student in high school, and they didn't think it would translate well to college, especially in a field like journalism, where there's preconceptions about the amount of money made and the social life that you can have outside of work and stuff like that. But as they've seen that I've progressed throughout the Herald and my studies have improved, and they see the quality of the people that I've surrounded myself with, I think the support has definitely gone up exponentially. And my family, I'm happy to say, is very proud of the work that I'm doing now, and that's something a lot of people don't have in their lives. So I'm appreciative of it.
Good. Let's stay on the misconceptions that you rightly mentioned that by the end of this conversation you hope to break. For instance, in terms of journalism, what are some perceptions about journalists out there that needs to go away?
Yeah, I think Cori and Nicole can agree with me. I think it starts with the pay in the field.
Yeah, absolutely.
And speaking as someone who's currently applying for jobs in that field, I can tell you the salaries are not where people exaggerate. They're not as low as people exaggerate them to be. I'm not gonna say the salaries of the ones I'm applying for, but I think anyone with even lower experience than I do, if you have a nice portfolio, you could make a good living in the journalism field. And I think another misconception about journalism is that since it's not typical office hours all the time, you don't have a life outside of the office. And at points that's been this year for me, but also it's just about time management at that point. I've implemented this thing called time blocking. It's a really useful skill where I basically just map out my day by the hour. And it's as long as you have good time management skills, you understand what it's going to take, and you're realistic with your day, there's no reason you can't have a social life outside of work.
Talking about that social life outside of work, within the university community and in your practice as a student journalist, for instance, how has it been in a community that usually people like to have fun, but you always have your guard up? Do you feel like you haven't really relaxed as a student and enjoyed the college life?
No, I would say quite the opposite.
You're always looking for stories?
I've had a lot of fun in college. I definitely make the time for that. I think it's very important. I sometimes probably make a little bit too much time for that, but I sometimes I have my guard up, especially when I'm around people that I know because I know I'm representative of a whole, of an entire company and organization and people that I care about. So I want to represent us in a way that's good to the community and good to others. So when I'm meeting with people in the athletic department, or I'm meeting with people university officials, I'm definitely a little bit guarded. But when I'm out in my social life, don't worry, I don't bite, I promise.
That's interesting to hear. As you leave, do you have any regrets?
I don't think I have any regrets. I think a lot more of what I wanted to be accomplished could have been accomplished if we had moved into the new student center at the right time. And I'm not bitter about it at all. I think what I've done is I've been a good stopgap to give the next group and give Cori the keys to really take this place to the future. I think I've laid a good foundation for what the culture needs to be like in the organization, and expectations of sections and people, and what it takes to be on the editorial board. And I think I've also repaired a lot of our relationships in the community, and I've strengthened our relationship with not only university officials, but the athletic department and people of that nature. So I think the only regret I have is I think recruitment is just tough for an organization like this, but we've been doing a lot better. We've had more new people coming in every week for the past 6 weeks into the office for new meetings. So I've been really excited about that.
That's good. And Cori speaks well of you. Even before I got to meet you, I know there was a Ben. I remember saying that we had we have a Ben in Ghana as well,
Yeah.
and you know the name is similar as well, and they're into journalism. Cori, you want to tell me, you're filling in the shoes of this person that you so much admire in terms of their work and their professionalism. How does it feel for you? Overwhelming?
I'm overwhelmed, excited. I'm super proud of both of us in this moment. I think he's really set us up, the Herald and myself, up for success. We've kind of been doing a transition for a couple of months. He's been showing me the ropes, and I'm just so ready to hit the ground running. And I hope he comes back and visits us next year in the new student center, even though he never got to work in it.
Oh.
Don't worry, I'll be coming to bother you.
Yay.
Hopefully you do. And back to you, Ben. As you leave, what advice would you give to those starting out, and not just to the people you're leaving over to, but to, I know I asked Cori this question when we were discussing it, but to someone who is thinking about starting a career in journalism, maybe from the student level, for instance, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, I think if writing and reading is something you're incredibly passionate about, I think these are fields and skills that are kind of downplayed, especially in the high school level. I think a lot of your teachers will tell you that, like, well, these professions don't make a lot of money, and that's great that you can do that, but I don't see it panning out in the future in terms of your career. And I would just say to those people, like, if it's truly something that you're passionate about, stick with it. I had moments where I've thought about pulling out of this and thought about changing my major and which I respect people who do that, absolutely. But I think if you're really passionate about something and it's something that you want to do the rest of your life, make it happen. Do everything you can, because life's not going to do it for you. And that's kind of in that moment that I talked about earlier, that moment sophomore year, I had to take a look in the mirror. I was going through a tough time, and I was like, this isn't going to come out for you. Like life isn't going to do it for you. You're going to have to put in the work. And I think since then, I've had a completely different attitude about how I've approached everything that I've come to. And I think if younger journalists and just people in general just attack life instead of letting it hit them, you'll reap the rewards and the benefits of that.
Great. Do you have any icons? I mean, I find questions coming up as you keep speaking, but do you have any icons within the media space, people that you look up to?
Yeah, I think a big one that I've looked up to in recent years and that I've had discussions with is Tony Paul over at the Detroit News. He's actually my roommate's uncle, which that's crazy. Cool. I've been following his work along for many years before I actually knew that he was related to my roommate. But he's the most genuine person in the media that I've met so far. Which not saying that any of them are not genuine. I've only met genuine people so far, but he's really upfront with who he is as a person, and he's his level of professionalism is unbelievable, and the perspective he gives to communities such as Westerns and their athletics is eye-opening, I think, for people. And people that cover the smaller schools, not the ones that are not University of Michigan and Michigan State. People like him don't get enough credit. So big shout out to him for all the work that he does over at the news. Good.
And maybe the last one for you will be: Are you staying in the media space? Are you going to work in the journalism field, or you're thinking you have other options?
So absolutely. So I've been interviewing with the MLB recently for a position that would be player coordinator. So I'd be helping players build their social media brands. That's been going well. I'm in the second stages of interviews for that. But the answer to your question is yes. I want to stay in the journalism space. I also want to stay in the digital marketing space. On the journalism side, that was more of the digital marketing. On the journalism side, I have interviews set up for the next couple weeks. Shout out to Report for America. Their service is great. They set me up with a few papers to have interviews for the next few weeks.
Cool.
So I'm hoping to stay local, at least in the Michigan area, and keep fighting the good fight.
Yeah. I wish you all the very best, in your interviews. We hope you stay and fight a good fight. Nicole, you worked under Ben. Any words for him? How would you describe him? He's here, but I don't know. I know I'm putting you on the spot in front of your boss, but any words for him?
Yeah, I think a lot of what I have to say has been said. He's very, like Cori was saying, his goal was to bring more people into the Western Herald, which I think really, he's been very successful in that, and he's helped bring us closer to each other. So not just bring more people, but helping create stronger relationships within the Herald, which I feel like has really made an impact on the culture. And yeah.
If you know Ben, give him a congratulations on his graduation.
Yeah.
If you don't, give him a follow on Twitter. He's going to probably be doing some really interesting things in the next couple years.
Thank you guys.
What's your Twitter?
At Ben Epstein __, and then how to spell my last name is EPSTEIN.
Okay. So, folks, you've been listening to our conversation with the outgoing editor-in-chief. He still has a few more days to go, so I guess the editor-in-chief at the Western Herald in the person of Ben Epstein, and quite an interesting conversation that we've had in terms of his journey in the journalism field, at least at the student level. And Cori Osterman is taking over from him. How cool is that?
Good luck.
Good luck with that.
Thank you.
All right, so this brings us to the end of our journey for the semester, I guess, for
Yes,
the
it
Western
does.
Review.
So sad.
Yeah, so sad. How does it feel, guys?
It feels good. I've been trying to get something like this done since the middle of last year, and
Wow.
I'm so glad that we were able to do it. I'm super glad you reached out to us.
And we have
And-
10 episodes. I like the perfect number of it.
Oh, is it 10?
It's 10.
What a round
That's
number.
awesome.
Yeah, what a round number, right?
That is good.
Yeah.
But we'll see you guys. We'll all be back next year.
Yeah, next year we're definitely coming back. Nicole, anything for our listeners as we say bye-bye to them for like the next 3 months, I guess.
Nicole doesn't want to.
Nicole doesn't want to talk, right?
She's tired.
Yeah, I
It's
can see
exam
that.
week. But
Okay.
we promise she's just as excited to come back next
Oh,
year as the rest of
yeah.
us.
She is. You definitely
Get a
gonna hear-
Celsius in her.
Yeah. We're gonna have a much more cooler space to record next year and all of that. So
we'll be in the new student center. Come check it out.
Definitely, you're gonna pass by. But this has been another exciting episode of the Western News Review, where we bring you top stories from within the Western Michigan University community and basically the Kalamazoo locality as well. My name is Daniel Ebo, and I've been with Cori Osterman, I don't know whether to introduce you as a lead news.
Who
No,
calls
she's
you?
editor-in-chief
Editor.
now. Give her the
Rising
title.
editor-in-chief.
She's the editor-in-chief of the Western
the
Herald.
incoming editor-in-chief at the Western Herald.
Sure.
As well
I'm
as
former now.
yeah, and Ben Epstein, who is the outgoing, well, he says former, but editor-in-chief, and then of course Nicole Morehouse, the lead news reporter at the Western Herald. This show has been ably produced by Ryan Misiak, the production manager at not Western, but WIDRFM. Until sometime in the fall,
Yes.
be safe, take care, bye-bye.